The board of directors for the flying club agreed to meet on a Tuesday night at 8 o'clock. It's kind of late at night, but okay, these folks have jobs. So I certainly have a job. And they agreed to meet at the airfield in the clubhouse behind the hangar. Now, to set the stage, if you can picture in your mind what a German clubhouse must look like, lots of woodwork, lots of big, clean windows looking out over the forest with a large wooden table with benches around it. Very German, very almost Bavarian. We're not in Bavaria, but it's almost a Bavarian flavor. That's what the clubhouse looked like. And to set the stage a little further, it was raining. So cold for summer, gray, rainy, inside of this wooden clubhouse. My boss, who is the director of my company for, the Stuttgart area, all the areas surrounding Stuttgart, he agreed to go with me. He is Schwabian. He is a German from this area, so he speaks the local dialect, and he wanted to talk to these men also. So that before the meeting, I provided these gentlemen with, I don't know, off the top of my head, probably 15 German court and German government documents about my situation. I provided them all the materials for my human rights case that I have pending in the German court right now. I gave them reports from the German National Police about my situation. I gave them my background check from Germany's perspective. And I provided them with some other court records from the United States, but it was all records. And in doing so, I was being completely honest with these men. I was letting them see everything. Because what I wanted them to see was, yes, there is negative against me. Yes, there absolutely is, from my 1994 arrest for the 15-year-old, my 2000 escape. But let's also talk about what I've done since then. Because who I am now is not who I was 25 years ago, 28 years ago now. I wanted them to get the whole complete picture. If they still choose to keep me out of the club, so be it, but at least they will have done so with all the information, and I will feel like I had a chance to have my say. So we went into the meeting, and there are 4 board directors, or there may be more. Let me say there were 4 that were supposed to be there. The president was there, the chief flight instructor was there, one of the senior flight instructors was there, the vice president was not there. So there were 3 people from the board on one side, and there was me and my boss. My boss's name is Martin. Martin and I were on the other side. And when I walked in, the chief flight instructor, who I have flown, I'm gonna go ahead and use his first name. I won't use his last name, and I'm not identifying the club, but his name's Christoph. Christoph smiled at me, shook my hand warmly, and I actually felt like he was greeting me in a truly friendly way. I didn't feel any aggression. The president of the club seemed to me aggressive. He did not smile. He did shake my hand, but it was typically German cold. The third gentleman, whose name is Matthias, a senior flight instructor, he kind of seemed neutral to me, shook my hand, smiled. I have flown with him also, and I had a good working relationship with him, and he was just kind of neutral. So I figured that my attention needed to be on the president of the club because he seemed to be the one with the most beef. So Christoph asked me, "How are you feeling?" And I said to him, "Well, I feel like I'm walking into court and I have to make the argument of my life." And he laughed and he said, "Please, no, it's nowhere near that dramatic. We're just going to sit down. We're going to have a conversation." Christoph's English was the best of the board members. So he did most of the talking. He explained to me that they had all read every single document that I had provided, and they appreciated the fact that I had been that open. He also said that he knew nothing about Florida law, Florida sex offender policies, or the sex offender registry. He said he had known nothing about it, but had spent the previous day online researching basically everything I had said about the laws. Now, keep in mind that my German court documents talk about the oppressive laws in Florida when it comes to the registry. So he knew it wasn't just me saying this or making these accusations. The German court even recognized this. So we're talking, and I explained my situation, and I went through the points. I started to go through the points when he cut me off. He said, listen, we can go through all this in detail if you want, but let's get to the ultimate point here. The truth is that when we received this information from one of our members, it was emotionally disturbing, and the first reaction was to push back, and we don't want anything to do with it. Under normal circumstances, that's exactly what we would have done. But we so much appreciated the fact that you were willing to confront the issue and to do so professionally that we were willing to take another look at it and deal with it rationally, to put the emotion aside. He said, we need to be prepared in whatever decision we ultimately make tonight, whether we continue, whether we uphold your rejection from the club or if we change our minds and let you in. Either way, we know that in the future, somebody else is going to Google you, somebody else is going to bring this issue to us, and we need to be able to say that we did our homework, we did our due diligence, and that we can stand firmly on the decision that we make, for you or against you. I said, that's very fair. I said, but let me begin by saying, whatever you think I did in the past, it was 28 years ago. And there has to come a time when the punishment ends. Yes, we need prisoners. Yes, we need prisons. Yes, we need prosecutors. Yes, we need judges. Yes, we need policemen. We need these things in order to protect our most vulnerable citizens. A modern society cannot operate without them. And I am one who firmly believes that when someone transgresses the rights of another person, they have to be held accountable. Yes, yes, yes. I stand on that. But what I also believe is that the punishment must be appropriate to the real crime. Not the imagined, but the punishment must match what really happened. Also, when a punishment is handed down, there comes a time when it has to end. You can't just continue it indefinitely. At that point, the president sitting to my left got very angry. Now, he did not speak much English at all, so he predominantly spoke in German. He started thumping the table with his forefinger angrily and was growling something in the local dialect that I don't speak. And I'm thinking to myself, I am not making progress with this man. But I also noticed that Christoph was smiling and nodding agreement to whatever the president was saying, and my boss, Martin, was smiling and nodding in agreement. So Christoph then realized I didn't know what was being said, and he interpreted. He said, the president of the club said just that. When a punishment is handed down, when the court thinks that that's the appropriate punishment, when it ends, that's it. It should be over. End of discussion. And that what Florida did to me was a violation of my rights. That's what he was angry about. Not angry at me, not angry at the crime, angry at the state of Florida for not letting this shit go. There comes a time when it has to end. When it was all said and done, my boss had the final argument, had the final say. And he said to the group in German, he said it in Hochdeutsch, so I was able to understand. But he said that 4 years ago, knowing my history, he rolled the dice on me. He took a chance. 4 years later, he can say that he has not regretted it for 1 second. So that there he was that night sitting at that table asking these men to roll the dice and take a chance on me. When it was done, Christoph, the chief flight instructor, looked me in the eye and said, I will cheerfully reverse my position. As far as we're concerned, you now have 3 votes for admission into the club. However, the 4th member that had to be there, the vice president, was not there. They had to speak to him before they could make any kind of final decision. But things were looking good. The next day, I received an email from the vice president who needed this information, and he asked me for access to the files. I opened up the files, it was a shared file, so I opened it, made it available to him, and I didn't hear anything for the rest of the day. The next day, yesterday, I still did not hear anything until 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I was at work in my office. I received the email and I didn't want to read it because I didn't like the way it began. But then when I read the second paragraph, I quietly closed the door to my office, laid my head on the desk, and wept. This flying club had reversed their position and had granted me full membership in good standing. These men rolled the dice on me. These 4 men, who initially had rejected me just because of the accusations, were willing to sit down with me, listen to me, review the evidence, and reach a rational decision. And they have now, I know for a fact that they have circulated that email to at least 10 other people. And the word is now out in the club. I have been vetted, I have been reviewed, and I have been approved. This is Germany. And as much as I want to say to all of you how thrilled I am by the decision, I want to say to the members of the Flying Club, to the board of directors, thank you for rolling the dice on me. You will never have occasion to regret it. I will bring nothing but honor and integrity to this club. Thank you. Because now I'm going to fulfill my life's dream.